بدأ حالا دحين. انا دخلت القعدة.
هذا والله عندي لحظة. ايوه ظهر نوتيفيكيشن. ايوه نوتيفيكيشن يجي محمود فوق ورنت. يا سلام. يلا معك. ما حدش مغمض عيونه ليش؟
احتمال بيقول لك انه الدكتور مهزأ
أيوه.
كان في المستشفى، كان عرفنا كلنا تقريبا، احتمال يكون مشي في لحظة بيقول لي مشي. Okay, let's begin. Unlimited Sundere Works.
Sundere.
Okay, although we don't know what his intentions are, having Lancer's cooperation now means we don't have to stay at the castle. Lancer must have taken a liking to Tosca as he keeps messing with her and getting hit by her.
ちょっとあんたね、ちゃんと自分のマスターがいるんでしょ？ならおとなしくしてなさいよ。キャスターを倒したら敵同士になるんだし、話なんかしてもしょうがないでしょ。作戦会議以外はみんな無駄口よ、無駄口。
なんだ、敵になるからって話はなしか？見かけによらず余裕がないんだな。相手が敵であろうと気が合うなら膝交えて語り明かすってのが情だろうに。
いつの時代の人間よ、あんた。そういうね、明日には殺すけど今日は親友だなんてのは今時流行らないの。やるとなったら徹底してやらないと相手にも失礼じゃない。
はあ、そりゃまたつまんねえ世の中になったもんだ。
Lancer never learns. I feel like they've been repeating the same kind of conversation for a while now.
それよりランサー、自分の役割きちっと分かってるんでしょうね。
ああ、梅雨払いは任せておけ。お前たち二人でキャスターとそのマスターと戦うんだろ。俺の役目はアーチャーの相手だ。最悪セーバーもどうにかしなくちゃならんが、まあ抑えるだけなら問題ない。
Lancer speaks objectively. He isn't even scared of fighting both Saber and Archer at the same time. He is very badass, to be clear. Protection from arrows is one hell of a drug. Come to think of it, Saber told me when we were training in the dojo. She said Lancer is the best among the servants when it comes to just surviving. Guts, baby! أول servant فيت عنده guts يا بسام.
يب
حرفيا اول سيرفنت في الفيت فيرس كبرى عنده جاتس، ولو انه كان معاه واحد تاني عنده 11 جاتس في نفس الفايت.
بس ما فيد يا محمود.
بس ما عنده فيد زي هذا. She praised him, saying that he had excellent agility and plentiful combat experience, that he would be an impregnable defense if he went into defense. Really now? He must have fought many battles from disadvantageous positions when he was alive. The aloof man must be a heroic spirit who ran through the jaws of death many times and survived. I mean, he's pretty badass.
それはいいけどな。敵はアーチャーとセイバーだけじゃない。キャスターの下にはアサシンもいるんだろう。なら最悪あんたの相手は3人ってことになるぞ。
ああ、そりゃやべえな。あの野郎は苦手だ。できれば1対1でもやり合いたかね。あの手のやつは遠くから仕留めるに限るが、まあその心配は不要だな。アサシンは教会には現れない。
どうしてそう断言できるのよ。キャスターが竜道寺に戻らないなら門番としてアサシンだって呼び戻すんじゃないの？
いや、アサシンはキャスターが呼び出したサーバントだが、それゆえに制約がある。奴はあの場所そのものに呼び出された英霊だ。竜道寺を離れることはできんし、何よりキャスターが呼び戻さんだろう。あれはキャスターがマスターに黙って独断で召喚したサーバントだ。マスターが教会にいる以上は隠し通すし、おいそれと竜道寺を手放すこともできまい。
竜道寺を手放せない？それ
聖杯の召喚場所があの山だからだろうな。知っているか？聖杯戦争は今回で5回目だが、聖杯が呼び出される土地は4カ所ある。そのうちの一つが竜道寺であり、教会でもあるわけだ。ちなみに3回目の召喚場所は教会だったらしい。4回目はどこぞの平地だったそうだ。
へえ、戦ってれば幸せみたいな人だと思ったけど、意外に物
単にマスターが小難しいやつなだけだ。お前たちの事情に関心があるわけじゃない。
けどそっか。じゃあ今回の召喚場所って1回目と同じ場所に戻ったってことなのね。
Tosca mumbles while she ponders. Lancer watches her with delight and walks in the dark forest. It's deep into the night and the date has long since changed. Dawn should be breaking by the time we get out of the forest and return to town. I mentally prepare myself as I walk. We will challenge Castor one more time in a few hours. I won't hesitate even if that girl has become our enemy by then. We'll defeat Castor. I have to accept that that's the top priority right now. We head to the battlefield. No matter what awaits for us at the church at daybreak, we cannot stop now. Save يا حبيبي save.
انت تقدر تاخذ يدين وتبيع حاجه
ايش؟
كذا بس.
Night stay night زي ما قلت لك. هذا الشتر ده اسمه كده لازم. Before that, there's just one more conversation. When they get out of the forest and day breaks, before they head to the church, the girl tells them the fact that she kept hidden.
今のうちに言っておくけど、シローが返してくれたペンダントね。あれ、一つしかないものなの。
She doesn't say what that means, and he doesn't pursue it further. That is because that is an unnecessary matter when they are about to fight their biggest enemy, Castor. Only one pendant, the one that he found in her room and returned to her, the one that he picked up that night and put into his desk. Now's not the time to pursuing that contradiction.
言っておかなくちゃいけないのはそれだけよ。シローが私の部屋で見つけたペンダントってあーちゃんに返してもらったものなんだ。シローがランサーに刺されたあの日にね。私はてっきりあいつが拾ってきてくれたものだと思ってたけど。
The decisive battle is near. The roof of the tall church can be seen in the corner when looking up at the sky. Tosca says she wants to confirm things one last time. Our roles are decided. Lancer will draw Usher and Saber away from Castor. We will use that opening to fight Castor. In response, Lancer sarcastically asking if we'd be able to defeat
まあ
Castor.
ね、私とキャスターを1対1にしてもらえれば、まず裏をかけると思う。
Tosca replies with confidence. I don't know what she means by outwitting her. She wouldn't tell us even if we asked, so it must be a strategy that has a lower success rate if she tells her allies. Then all I need to do is fulfill Tosca's demands. I will keep Kozuki from protecting Castor no matter what. I'll project his swords however many times is necessary to do that. I close my eyes and dive inside myself. The magic circuit that flows inside of me is stable. Magecraft beyond one's capacity will destroy the user themselves. The first time, half of my body went numb. The second time, projection was surprisingly easy and had no effect on my body. There's no guarantee that the third time will be the same, but I think there should be no problem if it's just copying his swords. My body is stable. Through sheer awareness alone, I have access to magic circuits that were so difficult to create before. It's like there is a fake nerve behind my normal nerve and I'm able to reverse them with just the press of a button. There is a part of me that wants to believe it's because I got used to it. I can easily prepare the swords. Projection has become my primary weapon. It's improved greatly compared to 10 days ago. Not only has the control of my magic circuits improved, but even my sword technique has improved. The reason behind it, I stop myself from thinking about the reason. It's top priority to defeat Caster and get Saber back. Asking myself stupid questions can come after the battle. In my head it gets worse the closer I get to the church. It's just like when I was looking for Tosaka, but I stopped thinking about that. The sunrise is grey. The sunlight is blocked by clouds sealing the dawn of brightness. The dawn's brightness. The sky above is cloudy. The sky is closer to black than grey and reminds me of that time 10 years ago. يا عم ارحمني من الحرب من القرف بتاعك اللي 10 years ago بقى مش كل مرة. Is it going to start raining
شبه
soon?
صحراء.
A dull white sky. مش بطلش
شبه
يفكر في المشكلة بتاعته
الصحراء.
المرة اللي فاتت. That man was standing under the cloudy sky that smelled like it had just stopped raining.
君のことだ。必ず来ると思っていた。
He stares at Tosaka with cold eyes. Tosaka doesn't say anything and stares back at Archer.
それで用意した策は何だ？何の手立てもなしで勝負を挑む君ではあるまい。
ああ、とりあえずてめえの相手はこの俺だ。
驚いたな。私を失い、数日と経たずに新しいサーバントと契約したんだ。やれやれ。私もそうだが、君の移り気もなかなかのものだ。これは、たもとを分かって正解だったかな。
غيران.
構わないわシロ。あいつの挑発になんか乗らないで。
She stops me still staring at Archer. But it's obvious looking at her face. Even if she knows he's provoking her, it doesn't change the fact that those words hurt for Tosaka.
前から気に食わねえ野郎だと思っていたが、てめえ少年から腐っているようだ。
裏切りは勘に触るか、ランサー。自分が裏切られたわけでもないのに、律儀なことだ。
別にお嬢ちゃんに肩入れする気はねえよ。単にてめえみたいなサーバントがいるってことが気に食わねえだけだ。
英雄の誇りか。まったく。どいつもこいつも同じようなことばかりを口にする。あのキャスターでさえ、そんなくだらないものを持っていたが、死した身でいますが、何の栄誉を守るというのだ。正直、私には君たちの考えが理解できん。
ああ、しなくていいぜ。考える手間を省いてやる。
Ideally. Conversation ceases between the two of them. All that's left is Lancer's sharp intent to kill, and Archer's calm intent to kill. They're about 10 meters apart. The knight in red and the knight in blue confronting each other is like a reenactment of that night.
ランサー
Tosaka calls to the blue bat.
お前たちは中に行け。こいつをぶっ倒したら俺も行ってやるからよ。
分かってるけどランサーアーチャーは
ああ、手抜いてやる。あいつには土下座してお前に謝ってもらわなくちゃいけねえからな。
Without looking back, he smiles while still staring at Archer.
ありがとう助力に来てくれたのがあなたでよかった
We go around the two and run to the church. Archer, the guard, casually lets us go through. No, he had to let us through. Archer is already confronting Lancer. If he gave us an attention in such a situation, he would get stabbed in the chest by Lancer the next moment. Either he doesn't let us go and gets attacked by Lancer, or he lets us go but confronts Lancer. If he is really guarding this place, the choice should be obvious. We run through the courtyard and open the door to the church without hesitation. Behind us,
まったく面倒なことになっちまったな。
何がだ、ランサー。
いや何、 あんな顔で礼を言われた日には手抜きもできねえ。そういうの困るだろ。おいそれと主を裏切れない身としちゃ少しばかり眩しいってもんだ。
随分と甘いのだな、ランサー。君は隣の芝生は青いという言葉を知っているか？
何言ってやがる。なもん俺が知ってるわけねえだろうが。
悠長にやってる時間はないわ。ランサーがアーチャーと決着をつける前にキャスターを倒すわよ。
ما في لكم بشغل.
أنا ما في موسيقى.
分かってる。
أول
ここから無駄
موسيقى.
口はなしだ。
We shouldn't waste our breath.
それと本当にキャスターを任せていいんだな、トサカ。
ええ、とことんまで追い詰められるだろうけど、それでも手は出さないで。シローはクズキ先生をできるだけ引き離してくれればいい。
We go past the chapel and head to the door leading to the courtyard. I want to hesitate if Tosca says so. Most of all, I don't know if I could back Tosca up even if she were in trouble. My opponent is Kozuki. I wouldn't even be able to dodge his first attack if I'm paying attention to Tosaka. My brother and guard, even if you're paying attention to him, I don't know if you can do it. Caster's presence is getting closer. She must not even be hiding her powers as much as the church is surrounded by Caster's magical energy. With this amount, she must already know about our raid.
トレース。
I knit together the illusion as carefully as I can, using the 8 steps. I got used to it, as his swords are in both hands, within a minute. I feel a light headache. Even though I'm getting used to it, it takes some sort of toll on my body after all. Projection is certainly affecting my body without me realizing it. Is it my imagination? For a moment I thought Tosaka had hung her head in sorrow while running next to me. We go down through the darkness. We run down the stairs that go underground and go out to the open area. And after that we jump off the railing. We jump off the railing of the stairs down to the sanctuary like before.
あら、飛び降りてくるなんてまるで猿ね。何を急いでいるのだか知らないけど、人間なんだから階段ぐらいは使いなさい。
We land in the sanctuary. This is supposed to be a surprise attack, but Caster greets us with composure. There is Soichiro Kozuki standing beside her. I feel no enmity or bloodlust from him. That is his battle posture. His clear murderous intent is even hiding the dreadfulness of that man. In that regard, he's even more like an assassin than the servant assassin right now. I mean, the servant assassin is supposed to be a Saber. So. Saber is at the altar. The situation is the same as 2 days ago. Saber is still tied from the ceiling with her head hanging down. I'm relieved we made it, but at the same time it worries me how awfully quiet she is. I feel like Saber is a bit more in pain before. Oh, she was shaking slightly as if breathing with her whole body to go against Caster's magical energy. But she's silent now like she's frozen. I have a bad feeling. This good assassin is not here, but we won't be able to get out of here alive if my worries are true.
来たわよキャスター。いろいろ考えたんだけど、やっぱりあなたには消えてもらうことにしたわ。目障りだし邪魔だし煩わしいし、何よりその格好が気に食わないのよね。今時紫のローブなんてどこの田舎者よって感じでさ。
اوف 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 ايش هذا كله اعطتها كم حبة ورا بعض بسام. Dosa consults Caster, who is full of composure as if refusing to lose against her. Even though she's saying such things, she must actually be feeling the opposite from the way she's slowly closing in on her. Now's not the time to be concerned about Saber either. If Tosa is going to close in and Caster counter-clockwise, I'll close in clockwise. Caster and Kozuki, if we're going to separate them, we have to attack them from both sides and isolate our enemies.
見逃してもらった分際で随分と勘違いをしたようね。今時の魔術師は皆こうイノシシ頭なのかしら。 これではアーチャーが見限るのも当然ね。
أعطتها واحدة حرقة قوية كمان كاسر. Tosuka insults must have worked on her as Kasser is glaring only at Tosuka. I use that opening and move. I move to the other side of Tosuka where I can attack Kasser from. Where I can attack Kasser from the other side? What? I don't understand what you're saying, but okay. Kuzuki watches that in silence. I knew it. There's no way that man won't notice something like this. He's aware of everything. The fact that we're trying to defeat them one by one. The fact that Tosuka has some kind of a plan. Even with that in mind, Kuzuki's letting Kasser do as she wishes. It's not like Kuzuki's being manipulated by Kasser. He became Kasser's master of his own free will. But still, based on specificity, Kuzuki is close to a puppet. A servant who's skilled in providing backup using magecraft. And a master who's skilled in hand-to-hand combat. Their roles are reversed, and I feel like their way of being is reversed as well. Kasser, who persistently seeks the Holy Grail and the Master, protects Kasser without his own will. That makes me think without a reason that if Kasser was a master and Kuzuki was just a servant who protected her, that they wouldn't have fallen so low. Rin looks over at me. It means our positions are perfect. Then, the match will be settled if either of us attacks. Whether Tosuka and I get defeated or Tosuka defeats Kasser before that, our battle with Kasser will end here.
それじゃあ始めましょうか。あなたとの小競り合いもこれで3度目。いい加減ここで型をつけてあげる。
Tosuka steps in closer to Kasser.
大きく出たわね。まさかとは思うけど、本気で私に勝てると思っているの？お嬢さん。だとしたら腕比べどころの話じゃないわ。今回も見逃してあげるから、まずその少年を直してらっしゃいな。
اوف 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 كاسر ترد عليها ببيرن محترم برضو.
そんなの勝てるに決まってるじゃない。だってそうでしょ。あなたみたいな三流魔術師に一流である私が負けるはずないんだもの。
そうなら仕方がないわ。その増長厳しくしつける必要があるよね、お嬢さん。
They brace themselves at the same time. Within a few meters between them, they look like mirror images. This is the signal. I attack the defenseless casters. And of course, I'm blocked by Kozuki's blow. The ghost-like assassin in front of me. I don't have the composure to watch over Tosuka and Caster's fight. He already knows my intentions. He will not let me buy time. Letting out the snake that cornered even Saber, Tsuchikozuki comes to take my life. I can hold him off for 1 minute at most. That should be the same for Tosuka. Originally, this was a battle with no chance of victory, had the roles not been reversed. There's no way we could win against enemies who surpass us in both hand-to-hand combat and magecraft. But looking at it the other way, we can at least put up a fight. Tosuka would be killed in an instant if she fought Kozuki, and Kasser would end me by just pointing at me if I fought her. On the other hand, we might not be able to win, but at least we won't get killed in an instant. In other words, this battle is not about how we can defeat them, but a battle like walking on a tightrope to see how long we can hold off an opponent who is superior to us. Interlude. Unlimited blade walks. The lethal weapons cross. The twin swords and the spear repeatedly attack, trying to take each other's necks. Those attacks are continuous without hesitation. Every blow that is released is meant to kill. Lancer is not an exception. Even though he told Ren, his ally, that he would take it easy, that becomes secondary once the battle starts. It merely means that if his spear happens to miss Archer's heart and doesn't kill him instantly, then he won't finish him off. Even in that case, his enemy will die, but Lancer will just need to drag Archer to Ren Tosca before he does. Lancer does not care what happens after that. Damn, bro, dude. The Crimson Demonic Spear invades the enemy territory. The spear breaks through Archer's defense each time it thrusts. It is different from the battle from before. Archer cannot handle Lancer's attacks that he was able to dodge that night. It's only natural. This is the second battle. Lancer was bound by a certain command spell. To learn his enemy's master strength, his master told Lancer.
お前は全員と戦い。だが倒すな。一度目の相手からは必ず生還しろ。
That is the only command he was given. He obeyed such a ridiculous command, and his no-holds-barred battle had finally come. Therefore, there is no way that it is the same as the last battle. There is nothing biting Lancer, and Archer is now fighting the fastest heroic spirit out of all servants. Anguish escapes from Archer for a second time. Even his oak-like eyes cannot follow Lancer's spear. Spear's trajectory is no more than a point to start with. نعم؟
صوت مين كان يتكلم بالمسلسل؟
صوتك بعيد مش فاهم شيء.
أنا أقول لك صوت مين كان يتكلم بالمسلسل في الحرب بين العشرة وعشرة؟
صوت مين اللي يتكلم
صوت
ايش؟
غريب كان صوت أرشا غريب مرة.
لما يطلع صوت ما هو علشانه يعني يحارب. That was changing into a flash of light now. He cannot see the tip of the spear closing on him. Even the movements of Lancer's arms and legs are speeding up to reach the realm that is no longer visible. He was able to dodge this much because he knew Lancer's spear from the last battle. He is doing what he can now, using the fact that he is inferior to Lancer when it comes to hand-to-hand combat as a weapon to handle his fierce attacks. He's adjusting where he gets attacked. The Knight in Red cloak limits the attacks by creating fatal openings himself. Of course, he will die if he does not dodge these attacks. But if he's going to die getting wounds all over his body from trying to avoid an instant death, he'd rather die an instant death with all his limbs intact. Otherwise, it will have all been for nothing. Fortunately, Lancer is still underestimating Archer. No, he's simply immersed in battle himself. If they are going to keep killing each other with just a difference in ability, then he can think of another 30 ways of showing openings. Predicting the enemy's movements using information gained previously and breaking the status quo from cultivated battle experience. That is the mind of Seal called the Mind's Eye that is gained from training. This is nothing deemed as extraordinary. This is the only skill that he possesses. That is not innate like Saber's instinct, but it's a simple weapon that anyone can gain from training in a frank manner. Lancer withdraws his spear and stops for a bit. He observed the disgruntled bowman in red. It is obvious who is going to win. Archer has no chance of victory at hand-to-hand combat. That is something he knew. If Archer is a bowman like his name says, this cannot be a fair fight unless he is shooting from a distance. But he blocked the attacks. He has been at an advantage and should not last a few more blows. But he blocked my full force attacks. You mean disadvantage, not advantage. This is a mistranslation. Is he strong, or am I going easy on him? I sneer. Archer is a mysterious servant. I should admit that he's strong. He's strong in that regard, but it's unthinkable that I'm going easy. The first attack was aimed at the neck to blow his face off. The second attack was aimed at the heart to smash his ribcage. There's no way I'm going easy. There's no way, but it is certainly true that I wasn't trying to kill him. What is there in a serious battle? A battle between servants comes down to the battle of noble phantasms. The fact that I'm cornering him without using a fatal attack is proof that I'm going easy. For that reason, the quote seems to be the expression of gratitude that he'd never heard before.
まったく本気か俺は。
The swords clash harder than before. Both bodies spring apart with sparks that fly. Lancer's full force blow, as if he's about to hit himself, is offset by Archer's full force attack. The distance between them is about 5 meters. With that distance, Lancer would be able to close in an instant.
下せんな。
The spearman in blue murmurs.
貴様、これだけの腕を持っていながらキャスターについたのか。貴様取りんならば、キャスターになぞ遅れは取るまい。
Lancer stops emitting murderous intent, but there is no opening in his stance. At that, Archer slightly smiles.
驚いたな。何を言い出すかと思えば、まだそんなことを口にするのか。ランサー、私は少しでも勝算の高い手段を取っただけだ。リンがどう思うと、私はこれ以外の手段はないと判断した。
His voice, full of confidence, has no sense of guilt. The knight in red actually did not regret betraying his master.
そうかよ。尋ねた俺がバカだったぜ。
Archer agrees. Lancer snorts and quietly raises the tip of his spear.
確かにお前は戦上手だ。そのお前が取った手段ならば、せいぜいうまく立ち回るだろう。だが、それは王道ではない。貴様の剣には、決定的に誇りが欠けている。
His fighting spirit rises. Seeing that, the bowman in red smiles in delight.
ああ、あいにく誇りなどない身だからな。だが、それがどうした？英雄としての名が汚れる？笑わせないでくれよ、ランサー。汚れなど、成果で洗い流せる。そんな余分なプライドはな、底いらの犬にでも食わせてしまえ。
In an instant, the slightly relaxed atmosphere completely changes. The air freezes. The demonic spear with the magical energy to disrupt the order of the world and invert cause and effects is raised. The murderous intent that is released is nothing like before. In the midst of the tension, where it is difficult to even breathe,
犬と言ったな、アーチャー。
the spearman blue bellows in a voice that could drive crows away from the
事
battlefield.
実だ、空風林。英雄の誇りなぞ持っているのなら、今のうちに捨てておけ。
よく言った。ならば、お前が先に行け。
Lancer jumps back greatly. It is not the matter of distance to thrust his spear. The distance that opened between them in an instant is over 100 meters. Lancer leaps back to the entrance of this clearing and crouches on all fours like a beast. Archer's 5 senses freeze. Is it fear or awe? Whichever it is, he immediately understood. The meaning of Lancer's retreat, the fact that his enemy's next attack is literally a fatal
俺の
attack.
ゲイボルクの能力は効いているな、アーチャー。
Lancer crouching on the ground on all fours raises his waist. His form is like a sprinter waiting for the starting pistol. Archer does not have the time to answer. The knight in red throws away his swords and immerses himself in his own mind as fast as possible. But will he make it? Lancer's posture. If his demonic spear is like the legend, the noble phantasm that blocks it cannot be superficial.
行くぞ。この一撃。手向けとして受け取るがいい。
The blue panther runs. Even as after him is far away, Lancer sprints towards Archer like the wind. The distance between the parties is 100 meters. Lancer is not going to thrust his spear with the running start. The blue figure crouches. The spearman that ran through 15 meters in an instant suddenly leaps up from the ground. His body flies through the air. He holds up the magical spear that always pierces the heart once it is thrust. Space distorts, according to the legend. The spear scatters numerous arrowheads once it's thrust into the enemy. In other words, the spear of causality responds to his words. The spearman in blue leans back as if throwing a bow. And he slams down that blow with a roar. It is a noble phantasm that was made to be thrown. That spear that always pierces the heart once it's aimed. The cursed noble phantasm that cannot be avoided and will continue attacking the target every time it is avoided. That is Gable, the spear of destruction possessed by the hero who never lost once in his lifetime. There's no way to stop that thing that is shot out with all of Lancer's magical energy. It cannot be avoided or dodged. Therefore, it is fatal. There's no way for one to survive once they are targeted by the magical spear. The magical bullet approaches. In a split second, the Knight of Red closes his eyes as if accepting death. The Thorn of Light clashes. The moment the Thorn of Destruction comes fallen from the sky to directly hit the Knight in Red.
Yes.
The true name is spoken, shaking the air. The spear and shield clash, the spear of death which breaks through every protective wall and evasion. That spear is stopped. The fatal spear is stopped by Archer's noble phantasm, swirling up a storm of wind, scattering debris. The 7 flower petals that appeared from somewhere to protect Archer and oppose the magical bullet that tries to shoot him down. Who would know? This protection itself is Aias. The only thing said to have stopped the javelin of the great hero is the shield of Aias. There are 7 barriers shaped like flower petals, and each layer is as strong as a castle wall. It is a bounded field noble phantasm that is invincible against any projectile weapon targeted towards the user. A thrown spear would surely be defeated by a shield without penetrating even one of the petals. At the very least, Archer does not know if any spear that can break through this shield. And yet, that fatal spear breaks through it effortlessly. The 6th flower petal is destroyed. Only one remains. The magical spear reaches the 7th petal that has never been pierced through and doesn't stop its force. The unstoppable thorn of the spear, with that right in front of them. With a roaring spirit, Archer pours all of his magical energy into his noble phantasm. Lancer, who has landed on the ground, stares at the servant in front of him. Archer has wounds all over his body. His stretched out arm is even in a decayed branch. His face is distorted in pain, not only from the wounds on his arm, but from enduring a headache beyond his imagination.
アイアスを貫通しうる槍がこの世にあろうとは。君のそれはオリジナルのグングニルを上回っている。
The Knight in Red compliments the spearman in blue from the bottom of his heart. There is no way such a thing would get through to Lancer. His strongest attack, the attack that made him a hero, has been blocked. He is so angry that his glare should be able to kill someone. But that anger is almost erased by a strong wonder. It is too strange. It is true that Archer is a mysterious servant. His identity is unknown. He carries twin swords while being a bowman, and even showed a shield that could block Lancer's strongest attack. That is abnormal. Such a hero cannot be found anywhere in this world.
貴様、何者だ？
ただの旧兵だが、 君の見立ては間違いではない。
ざれ言を。旧兵が宝具を防ぐほどの盾を持つものか。
場合によっては持つだろう。だがそれもこのざまだ。魔力の大部分を消費したというのに腕をやられ、アイアスも完全に破壊された。まったく私が持ち得る最強の守りだったのだがな、今のは。
Lancer keeps glaring at Archer, who is bantering. Then,
それより気づいたかランサー。キャスターめ、存外に苦戦していると見える。こちらに向けられていた監視が止まった。
Archer adds, raising his arm as if to surrender.
そうかよ。そうじゃねえかとは思ったけどな。てめえ。
無論だ。言っただろう。勝率の高い手段だけを取る
とことん気に食わねえ野郎だな、てめえ。
Lancer says bitterly and turns his back to Archer. His job is done. His role to distract Archer is meaningless now. There is no need for him to support her and Tosca any longer. Spearman in blue turns on one heel to return to his master and lays on the grass to observe some more. Interlude out. I desperately bury the constant flurry of fists. Kozuki's fists are live snakes. Even if I barely dodge them, they change their course of direction and come to bite me at the moment I avoid them. That is how Saber got seriously injured. Saber was grazed by Kozuki's snake because she had the reflexes to dodge it. But I don't have such reflexes. I can't dodge them at first, and first of all, I can't even see his fists. I can't see them, so it's impossible to even dodge them. My shoulder, Kozuki's fist grazes my left collarbone. It's like a sledgehammer. It feels like my left shoulder is shattered and I almost drop my dagger. I stop and bear it, rippling the repeated fists, aiming towards my face with the dagger in my right hand. I desperately retreat. I retreat without regard for my appearance while Kozuki closes in, without revealing how he advanced. I shiver at his stance. I won't be able to withstand the next attack. It's absurd that I was able to parry all the attacks until now. It doesn't feel real, my misunderstanding of being able to manage with just defense and being a decoy until Tosuka's piece caster shattered from the first blow. Soichiro Kozuki took our previous battle into account. Before I was able to fend off Kozuki who attacked Tosuka, so I thought I'd be able to block his attack if I projected Archer's twin swords. But on the other hand, that means I can't do anything without Archer's swords. Kozuki took that into consideration. This time, the first thing that Kozuki did was try to take away my twin swords. My right dagger shatters. His fist, strengthened by Caster's magecraft, destroys my sword with just a few blows. I immediately replace the dagger. I can't expect high quality from a forced projection and quickly make swords. As a result, the twin swords that had received several attacks lose their accuracy. I can't control my breathing. I frantically block Kozuki's snakes with my twin swords. My body just follows the twin swords. My limbs that copy Archer's movement have far exceeded the limits of my body. And then there is this headache. My body erodes every time my twin swords are destroyed and project new ones. It is different from using up magical energy. It feels like I lose one of the few magic circuits I have every time I make new swords. I'm almost out. I might be able to make 2 more. It's over when my magical energy runs out. But first of all, would I even be able to make 2 more? I'm in the air. Kozuki's right fist, the first that he hadn't been using, was thrust like a spear. I buried the blow and tried to pierce through my chest and ribcage with my twin swords. In an instant, my twin swords are destroyed and it seems like I was flung away from the impact. I feel something hard against my back. I must have been flung about 5 meters. I try to resume my breathing and realize I can't breathe. The penetrating impact is numbing my heart. I can't breathe and I can't even move my limbs. just for a few seconds, during the gap of my heart resuming to work. The devil approaches. This is it. This man would finish me off if I dropped my guard for only a second. With me like this, it would be more than enough time to kill me 6 times. I glare at my enemy. Even if my limbs don't move, there are still things I can do. I'm not the one who wields the swords to start with. My weapon that I fight with has always been magecraft. Then, it is not over yet. My role is to hold Kozuki down. I can't give up without fulfilling my role. That hitting sound didn't come from in front of me. The structure of the sword that I was imagining disappears. Kozuki, who was approaching to twist my neck, stops. That abnormality was behind Kozuki. It happened to Kasser with the altar behind me. Interlude? Unlimited blade walks. Tozuka is also at an advantage. No, the burden is greater than mine since that she clearly... دي تاني مرة يعملوا الترجمة غلط. مفروض at a disadvantage مش at an advantage. This is a mistranslation. No, the burden is greater than mine since she clearly understands the difference in their powers. Kasser points her fingers toward her, full of composure. The magecraft is zero. Kasser has no need for incantations. To the witch that lived in the age of... she does not need a process to connect herself with the world. Kasser is always surrounded by the divine mysteries that make the world go round. For her, magecraft is just something she commands. It's just like ordering a guard dog to attack. She counters that with her treasure jewels. She does not have the time to cast spells, and she cannot match Kasser's magecraft with simple spells. Their skills as a mage are as far apart as the heaven and earth. To bridge that gap, she can only bring out the thing that she has been accumulating for a long time. The crystallization of magical energy that she has stored since she was born as the daughter of a mage. She faces that challenge preparing to use the remaining 9 out of the 10 irreplaceable jewels.
けなげに頑張ること。そんな奥の手があるとは思わなかったわ、お嬢さん。
Kasser keeps her smile even though her magecraft is being nullified by pure magical energy. Kasser can exercise magecraft almost infinitely, and the girl who opposes her using jewels as amplifiers. The difference is obvious. I do not know how many jewels she has, but it should be around 10 or 20. There's no way she can defeat Kasser with that amount. She neutralizes the electrical charge with the 7th jewel. There are 6 jewels left. With 6 more spells from Kasser, her trump card will run out.
あら、綺麗に防ぎきるのね。本当にけなげ。自分だけ守っていれば石を使い切ることもないでしょうに。
Without reacting to that giggling voice, she riddles the jewel between her fingers in preparation for the next bullet. Just as Kasser says, her jewels would not shatter if she were just protecting herself. Each jewel should be able to block Kasser's spells about 3 times. But she couldn't do that. Kasser's magecraft covers the sanctuary once it's activated. Kozuki should be protected by Kasser, but she's an exception. If she doesn't counter Kasser's magecraft before it is activated, then Shiremiya, who is keeping Soishu Kozuki busy, will burn and die. Therefore, it is meaningless if she protects only herself. She can't let him die like that, and the premise of this strategy is that it stops Kozuki.
まだ守りきるつもり？大した信念ですけど、それもいつまで持つかしらね。受けてばかりでは結果は見えていてよ、お嬢さん。
Kasser's fingers move. In response to that, she makes the first move. Her jewels will run out and she will be killed if she keeps on defending Kasser's magecraft and her jewels. If the magical energy contained is the same, then it means that she can beat Kasser if she makes the first move. But she cannot surpass Kasser's spells. Friend Tozuka is the fastest. Without using spells, she can establish magecraft just by releasing her jewels. Kasser is also the fastest, as she can create divine mystery with just one phrase. There is no first move in their battle. This is just a clash of power against power. The first one to lose from the clash and run out of magical energy loses. Then... she just needs to force her way through. She uses her jewels one after another and breaks through Caster's magical energy. There are 3 jewels released. Additionally, she uses her treasured 4th jewel to add a synergistic effect. That Magecraft is beyond her limits. You cannot use Magecraft surpassing your own tolerance. She herself, who told him that, is breaking the rule to unleash this attack. The attack would destroy not only the Sanctuary but the entire church, and had Caster not defended against it. تفضل يا But the witch in purple blocks it like it's nothing. No, it wasn't just that. Caster had swallowed all her magical energy into her robe. Tosaka stands in there in astonishment. Behind her, she can hear the sound of his defeat. The sound of breaking swords and his body slamming against the wall. The match is about to be settled. There is nothing she can do and her body sways. She staggers forward as if defeated by inescapable despair.
あら、これで終わり？まだ手持ちの宝石はあるのでしょ？諦めずになくなるまで試してみたら？
She has no energy to answer. Regardless of how many jewels she has left, this was the best she could do. If that didn't work, not even 100 jewels would be enough to hurt Caster with her Magecraft.
そう、ようやく理解したようね。何をしようが私にはかなわないと。けれど楽しくはあったわ、お嬢さん。魔術を競い合うのは久しぶりでしたからね。ええ。それだけでもあなたに価値を与えましょう。
She stops herself from falling forward, suppresses her nausea with her hand, and keeps glaring at Caster.
悔しい？けれどこれが現実よ。むしろ誇りなさい。遊んであげたとはいえ、あなたはこの私に魔術戦をさせたのだから。
Then Caster points at her.
消えなさい。あの坊やが私のマスターに倒されるのは時間の問題。
As if to pronounce her death sentence, I guess. Yeah, whatever.
その前に、こちらもそろそろ終わりにしましょう。
Caster slowly murmurs her death. That opening. She had been waiting for that judgment.
シュトラク、クロースツバイ。
She only needs one phrase to release the spell. She hangs her head and smiles as she murmurs. Interlude out. I doubt my own eyes for a moment. Tosaka and Caster. Their battle of Magecraft ended with Tosaka's defeats. Tosaka slowly staggered forward as if asking for Caster's forgiveness, and Caster released Magecraft to finish her off. That moment, Tosaka counters and released the Magecraft. That is fine. That is not surprising. The problem is that after that, Tosaka punches Caster with a fired-up stance. Tosaka throws herself into the Hellfire. She counters the released Magecraft, and using it as a distraction, she jumps into Caster. Caster's surprise is that of a mage. She could not have predicted that a mage that lost a Magecraft would come punching at her. I didn't expect it either, so it must be like blasphemy for Caster, who is an excellent mage. But that isn't just a useless struggle. Tosaka closes in and lands a 1-inch punch, a Chinese martial art move on Caster's chest. رين بتعمل best Goku impression. A shattering sound. Tosaka must have strengthened her fist like Kuzuki as her blow easily breaks through Caster's defense.
魔術師のくせに殴り合いなんて。
ホワイ肉様、今時の魔術師ってのは護身術も必修科目よ。
I'm honestly fascinated by her coordination. Tosca drops to the ground right after the 1-inch punch. Butting both hands on the ground, she crouches down to Castor's knees. To Castor, who has no hand-to-hand combat knowledge, it must look like Tosca disappeared. Then she executes a foot sweep. Her kick, using her entire body, is explosive as if trying to take off Castor's legs. Castor's feet are swept beneath her and lands on her back. But it doesn't stop. After that sweep, Tosaka stands up in front of her, stands up with her back turned to Castor, uses the turning momentum to jab at Castor with an elbow. Tosaka stops her turning and throws a straight punch at Castor, butting her weight into it. Castor's body is blown away. Taking Tosaka's straight punch directly, Castor slammed into a wall like me. Leaning against the wall, Castor pants dizzily. There is a distance between them. Tosaka kicks the ground to cover the few meters between them. The match is settled. Castor cannot move and her wound seems fatal. The battle only lasted for a few seconds. The match is settled within a 5-second interval after I was smashed into the wall when confronting Kuzuki. Castor has no energy left to fight back. Tosaka closes in on Castor with a saber-like speed and delivers the finishing blow, strengthening for just a few seconds using Magecraft. Tosaka intended to fight Castor in close combat from the start. Castor only saw Tosaka as a mage. She acted like she was at a disadvantage so that she could use the opening to achieve her one-time surprise attack, and the plan worked. Castor was deceived by Tosaka completely lost. Tosaka has won this battle, yes.
いや、そこまでだ、遠坂。
It is not if not for this man's monstrous athleticism. If Tosaka running to Castor was like a hurricane, then his speed was like a storm caused by the devil. Tosaka stops. In front of Castor, leaning against the wall, is Soichiro Kuzuki, who was just in front of me until now. Tosaka moves. The instant Tosaka feels death and immediately shields her face while jumping back. Kuzuki's right fist that blew me away strikes Tosaka's face. Tosaka guards her face with both her hands and jumps back, but she's sent flying. Tosaka smashed into the wall opposite from me with her arms dangling down as if they were broken.
勝機を逃したな。4度打ち込んで殺せなかったお前の未熟だ。
He says calmly, but that's not Tosaka's fault. The reason she lost her chance is because of me. If I had stopped Kuzuki, Tosaka would have defeated Castor. This is my responsibility. Our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity was lost because of my inexperience and Soichiro Kuzuki's superior hand-to-hand combat skills. Castor has regained consciousness. With Kuzuki by her side, she extends her awareness to the entire church. It was all for naught. Ambushes won't work on Castor anymore. Tosaka barely has any strength left and I only have 2 swords left. This is bad. If they use her to attack us in this state, we won't be able to see the light of the day ever again.
感謝しますわマスター。あなたがいなければあのまま倒されていました。
世辞はいい。今はセーバーを起こせ。甘く見ていい相手ではなさそうだ。
ええ、的確な判断ですわマスター。
Castor raises her hand and points at her on the altar. She is visibly bound by magical curses just as Castor is about to set her free.
ああ。それがあと数秒ほど早ければな。
The sound came from above. I can hear the whisper coming from the stairs above me. Castor was the first one that noticed something was wrong. Kozuki can't tell. Why? Because Kozuki can detect traces of magical energy. Castor is on the move. Countless amounts of swords can be seen, floating above Castor's master. Above Soichiro Kozuki.
総一郎
Perhaps Castor understood that she wouldn't be able to block the attack. She now stands in front of her master trying to shield him from the assault. Teresa. On, indeed. I was certain that the voice above me uttered such words. The room is now silent. The floating swords turned their gaze upon a single target on the floor and rained down upon them, piercing them. The swords vanish after they cut through the flesh and bone, leaving behind only traces of crimson. She chose to be a shield. Dragging her bloodied body, the woman looks back to the man she tried to protect. Kozuki says nothing, while his servant stands in front of him with countless piercing wounds. Maybe she feels she doesn't have to hide it anymore. Taking down her hood, the woman shows her real face and slowly approaches her master. Her body is crumbling. At the brink of her death, the woman looks upon her emotionless master. She gently caresses the man's face with her hand. Her breath getting shallower with each fading second. Kozuki shows no changes. He simply utters a short confirmation, and he does not even bother to turn his gaze on Castor.
よかった。あなたに死なれては困ります。
This is fine. Wait. The woman lets out a smile, realizing that perhaps she's content because of this
で
man.
も残念です。やっと望みが見つかったのに。
The woman's hands drop from the man's face. Castor's body starts to disintegrate from her feet.
悲嘆することはない。お前の望みは私が代わりに果たすだけだ。
His simple and straight answer makes her smile. She smiles and looks at him like she's staring into a fading dream.
それはダメでしょうね。だって私の望みはさっきまで叶っていたんですから。
The great witch fades away as she falls into her eternal slumber. Her purple robe falls to the ground. Without its owner, the robe also follows its master and fades into the wind. Not spending a moment looking at Castor, Kozuki had turned his attention to that guy. To the guy probably standing above me. To the knight wearing a red cloak. My head hurts. It is not from the burden of projecting too many weapons. It is that chant. The chant that came out of that guy's mouth is attacking my brain with a constant feeling of nausea. يا ابني وانت كل حاجه بتخليك عايز ترجع ليه؟ حتى لما تسمع تريسون عايز ترجع، ما ترحمني يا ابني. ارحم ميتين امي يا ابني، انت كل حاجه بتحصل لك بتبقى عايز ترجع. كل حاجه نوزيا 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 نوزيا. يا اخي ارحمني. تعال عندي المستشفى اعالجك. توريسو. On. I'm certain that's what he said. I keep telling myself it's not possible for him to whisper those words, but without a doubt, he uttered those exact words. Arsha walks down into the church. Tosca stares at Arsha and is probably still doubting her own eyes.
あーちゃもしかしたらって思ってたけど、そういうこと？
Arsha is not saying a word. He focuses his sight solely on his enemy, Kuzuki.
獅子心中の虫か。初めからこれを狙っていたな、アーチャー。
ああ。だがどちらかといえばトロイの木馬だろう。倒すべきがギリシャの英傑であったのだからな。例え話としてはそちらの方がふさわしい。
Arsha betrayed Castor right in front of her master, yet shows no traces of regret facing the same man.
そうか。 お前のような男を引き込んだキャスターの落ち度だったな。
Even with the traitor standing in front of him, Kozuki shows no changes in his tone. He still has a fight left in him. He's not a mage, but he's lost caster, but Kozuki still has the will to keep this fight going. He resumes his combat stance. Without caster, Kozuki's combat ability should have decreased drastically. Even if it's still the same dangerous fiber, caster's boon that turned his fist to steel should have gone by now. Despite that, Kozuki still decides to face Archer.
そうか。続けるというのなら止めはしない。
Archer takes up his swords. There are unseen sparks between them. The battle is set to begin. Is that really for the best? Kozuki said he's not interested in the Holy Grail. He was simply here to accompany Caster, truly a master in name only. If that's the case, there shouldn't be any more reason for Kozuki to keep fighting now that Caster is gone.
待て、どうして続けるんだクズキ。あんたはキャスターの言いなりになってただけだろう。キャスターはもういないんだから戦う理由はないはずだ。
My head hurts so much that my consciousness is fading, but I'm fixing my sights on the both of them. Kozuki closes his eyes for but a brief moment and answers.
そうだ。戦う理由などない。お前と同じく私は聖杯などに興味はなかったからな。
なら
だがこれは私が始めたことだ。それを途中でやめることなどできない。
It is simple. His answer is plain and simple. The fight begins. The battle between them will probably end in a single encounter. Even if Kozuki possesses martial arts and skill beyond that of simply human, his opponent is a servant. Simply being better than normal humans is not enough. The fight is just an excuse to tighten up a loose end. This is the fate of a loser. A fight between the two masters is always going to be kill or be killed, so what's going to happen to Kozuki is to be expected. If one is going to have a problem with this, then don't ever step into this war. Even so. There is a way for him to be saved. There is a way to resolve this without killing. Is it so wrong to wish for it? I don't mind being cold, naive, and I know I am a hypocrite. To a master, defeating your opponent means killing them. They're all aware of this fact before getting themselves involved thus far. They choose to fight knowing they will have to kill or be killed trying. I know how much of a coward I am for wanting to step in and stop them from fighting. And yet, if I had already decided to fight for someone to help someone, then I can't afford to lose a life. When that life can be spared.
やめろ。勝負はついた。これ以上は。
I tried to stop them while enduring my headache. In that moment, Kozuki makes his move. Maybe my move gave him an opening. Kozuki shortens the distance between him and Archer and Innocent and strikes right between his eyes. A strike that would have shattered anyone's skull. Yet Archer decided not to dodge the deadly attack. A sound can be heard as the attack makes contact with Archer's head. The Red Knight chose to withstand Kozuki's strike and used the opportunity to pierce through Kozuki's chest. There is only silence. No one could utter a sound, even I am at a loss for words. Kozuki Soichiro is dead. He died on the path he chose, like a ghost who left behind no words for longing nor feelings of regret or hope. My head hurts. I'm not sure if it is because my stress magic circuit is bracing against my nerves, or because I can't forgive Archer for killing Kozuki without even batting an eye, or because I'm mad at myself for being utterly powerless to oppose. Without knowing the cause, the sharp pain in my head gets even sharper. I turn my head towards the sound. With Caster gone, the binding curses should be undone. In front of the altar, At the back of the church, Saber hits the floor. Still lying on the floor, Saber's breathing is labored and in pain. Seeing her like this makes me forget about my headache.
Saber!
I rush towards her. I'm annoyed that even the few meters between me and her feel so far away.
Shiro.
Saber looks up. Seeing me running towards her, Saber lets out a sigh of relief. She suddenly tackles me and sends me flying. A sudden blow from the side, I was knocked down without resisting. My body is sent flying and bounces hard against the floor. My back lands first in the floor. I'm still confused by what just happened, but just as I look up, in that moment, I hear the sound of metal clashing again. What I see is Saber armoring up, and right in front of her on the ground where I had stood, there are multiple swords piercing the floor.
外したか。
It's him. He lets out a sound of disappointment as he keeps his sight on Saber. Not even able to stand upright, Saber glares at Arsha. I don't have to guess the reason. He fired his sword and tried to kill me from behind my back. Saber noticed what he was trying to do and instantly covered for me. Tosuka stands there looking at him dumbfounded while Saber wields her sword as she's gasping for breath. Even if their positions are different, they harbor the same question. Now that Caster is defeated, why is Arsha trying to kill him? Ishiro. Only Arsha and I stood unfazed by the interaction. That's right, I'm not surprised at what just happened. We have despised each other from the very beginning. We have stood against each other knowing we will never get along. We both reject each other's existence, not even knowing why. Why? The reason behind why we must reject each other. If it's really what I think it is, of course he would want to kill me. I tried to stand up after being knocked to the floor. Saber was pretty desperate. She probably charged into me without being able to hold back. Because of that, she can barely catch her breath. That's why I must stand up. If the Saber I knew were to tackle me, it wouldn't be this weak. Right now, she barely has enough strength to even face me. If she's to go up against Arsha in that body of hers, it would be no different than suicide. Ren approaches Arsha. Of course she's confused. Arsha only sided with Caster so he could betray her at the end and kill her. Now that he succeeded, there is no reason for Arsha to attack me.
芝居はもう終わりでしょ。キャスターは倒したんだから、もう勝手な真似は許さないわよ。
許さない？わからないな。なぜ私が許されなければならないのだ。私のマスターでもない。
はーちゃん。
お前との契約は切れている。自由になった私が自ら進んで人間の手下になると思うのか。
Tosuka looks upon Arsha like she still can't believe what she just heard. And then a sudden realization hits her.
まさか、あーちゃん。
私は私の目的のためだけに行動する。だが、そこにお前がいてはいささか面倒だ。
Tosuka jumps back. She distances herself from Arsha and starts running towards me, while I'm still trying to stand up. But Tosuka was not able to do that. A storm of swords 2 meters tall is raining down. The swords come down in a circular pattern, stabbing the floor to create a cage. A circular cage with barely enough space for a single human. The instant the cage is formed, Tosuka is trapped in the middle of it.
ここまで来て邪魔はさせん。契約が切れた今、お前にかけられた0時の縛りも存在しない。キャスターについた理由はそれだけだ。あの0時を無効にするためには、契約を破棄せねばならなかったからな。
Arsha starts walking, turning his back on Tosuka, who's now trapped in a cage of swords. He's not walking towards Saber, but towards me while I still have my knee on the floor.
やっぱり、なんでよ、あーちゃん。あんた、まだシロを殺すつもりなの？
そう。 自らの手でエミやシロを殺す。それだけが守護者となり果てた俺のただ一つの願望だ。
何？
Strength is returning to Saber's body. She collects her thoughts, focuses her strength, and shifts herself between Arsha and myself.
アーチャー、あなたはまさか。
そうだ。いつか言っていたな、セイバー。俺には英雄としての誇りがないのかと。無論だ。そんなものがあるはずがない。この身を埋めているのは後悔だけだよ。俺はね、セイバー。英雄になどならなければよかったんだ。
Saber's will to fight is leaving her body. Maybe she has suddenly understood something, whatever it may be. She no longer has any animosity towards Arsha.
そういうことだ。聞いているがいい、騎士を。マスターがいない身で無茶をすればすぐに消えるぞ。もはやエミやシローにはマスターの資格がない。肩入れしたところで君の望みには届かない。
それはできない。マスターで亡くなったとしても契約は消えない。彼を守り剣になると誓った。聖杯戦争など知らなかった彼はそれでも私の一方的な誓いに応えてくれた。その信頼を裏切ることなどできない。
Saber! Oh, that's why I love you, Saber. That's why she's the goat! The fucking goat! Beba. You are well and truly Beba. يا بسام مش هترجع من العشاء بتاعك ولا ايه؟ هنقعد هنا لحد بكره يا اسطى ولا ايه؟ بسام 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 يا أبو كلب عبر الأزمان بسام ويا بسام بسام أبو كلب بسام أبو ديك يا ابني انت ليه كده مأخرنا كل ده بسام ويا بسام بسام ده ترى شوية بتشم يا ابني بسام ابو كلب في انا كي يا بني آدم كل هذا عشاء؟ إيش فيه؟ هذا عشاء وهضم ودرس وتنظيف بعد الدرس وراح وخلاص عدت من المجاري ورجعت البحار وسووا لها يعني إعادة تصنيع وكل شيء وقلبت سماد وعادك لسه ما رجعت. ايش فيه؟ ايش فيه؟ ايش فيه؟ فينك يا ابني؟ هي بسوم 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 بسم بسم. ما في تبت، ما عندي حتى بعدين اضيع فيها الوقت لين ترجع يا ابو كلب. امري لله. She holds up her invisible sword, but the brave and gallant knight is nowhere to be seen.
そうか。ならば、偽りの主ともども、ここで消えろ。
Swords appear in Arshar's hand. Saber can't even withstand Arshar's attack as she is right now. I stand up and try to reach out for Saber. Maybe she's trying to stay away from my reach. Saber focuses all her strength on her feet and rushes towards Arshar. The fight is over after a few rounds of trading blows. The old Saber would have undoubtedly overpowered Arshar, but now she can barely swing her sword for seconds before she's down on her knees. Saber doesn't even have a sword in her hand anymore. In an effort to resist Gaster's curse, she used up all her magical energy. For Saber now, even taking in the air is an effort. She is facing down, all fours on the floor and trying her hardest just to maintain her existence. Arshar raises his arms. He swings his sword down on the defenseless Saber. I rush in and muster up all my strength to block Arshar's attack. I hold up my two swords. With the weapons I instantly projected in my hand, I fix my sight at the Red Knight.
おう。あとしばらくはおとなしくしていると思ったがな。さすがに目の前で女が殺されるのは耐えられないか。
うるさい。お前が殺したがってるのは俺だろう。なら相手を間違えるな。
The two of us continue to face off with each other. We both hold twin swords in our hands. Even though our stature may differ, our stance is absolutely identical.
人真似もそこまで行けば本物だ。だが、お前の体はその魔術講師に耐えられるかね。
A clear mockery. But like he said, I'm at my limit. My headache won't stop and my accelerated magic circuits are at their limit because of my repeated projections. In my current state, if I continue to trade blows with him while maintaining the swords, my brain will explode before he cuts me down.
前に忠告したな。お前に投影は扱えないと。分不相応の魔術は身を滅ぼす。お前をここまで生かしてきた奇跡の代償。ここで支払うことになったな。エミヤシロ。
Archer is charging towards me.
黙りやがれ、てめえ!
At that moment, I meet Archer's sword with my own with such intensity as if it will make me forget about my headache. I swing my weapons, my movement is simply a mimicry of my opponent's. If my swords are borrowed, so is the skill to wield them. That's why there is no way I can match him. Even if I'm at my peak condition, I'm not able to defeat him. A fake can come close to the real thing, but it will never surpass it. That's why I didn't have a chance to stand up to this man from the beginning. He told me to drown holding on to my ideals. He also told me my life was a lie. I couldn't say anything to him because he was my ideal. The power to realize the impossible. A man who became a heroic spirit after saving so many others. I am the one who wished to become like that. That's why I can't win. The man standing in front of me is the one who has reached the end of my ideal. This man is truly the same person who wanted to become stronger to save others, the embodiment of Shiroemiya's ideals. The swords shattered. While I was able to block his attack, I lost my swords in the process. My consciousness is fading. My body's uninjured, but what's inside of my body is bleeding, slowly withering away.
納得がいったか。それがエミヤ四郎の限界だ。無理を積み重ねてきたお前にはふさわしい幕切れだろう。
He raises his sword. Just when I try to discern which side the sword is going to cut down from with my fading consciousness.
汝の身は我がもとに、我が命運は汝の剣に。聖杯のよるべに従い、この断りに従うのなら。
I love this so much. Tosika's dignified voice echoes in the church. Maybe he was distracted by that. The sword strike loses momentum, and if that's the case, even my current body can dodge that attack. I roll the weight on the floor to create some distance. Archer collects his tongue, he doesn't go after me, and looks at Saber on the floor. Tosika's reaching her hand out to Saber from her cage of swords. Responding to her call, Saber rushes to Tosika with all her strength.
Saber の名にかけ誓いを受ける。あなたを我が主として認めよう。リン。
This is the contract that should have happened. Saber is finally able to get the master she deserves. Wind gather and whirl around Saber. Perhaps it's because she's gotten her real power back now that she has a proper master. The Saber facing Archer now is not the same person as before. What is this? I'm not the only one stunned by this sight. Even Archer is enchanted by what's happening. A surge of magical energy and a set of armor that is impervious to damage. That enormous magical energy which is enough to overwhelm anyone is truly infinite. That is Saber. The heroic spirit of the sword that is said to be the most powerful of servants.
思ったよりリンと再契約させるつもりだったが、いささか手順が違ってきたか。
Maybe he can't spare any effort on me anymore, but Archer is only focusing on Saber.
どうするセイバー。リンと契約した以上、君は本当にエミヤシロとは無関係になったわけだ。
言ったはずです、アーチャー。素人の誓いはなくならないと。
Saber says with determination. Irritated by her words, Archer grips his sword.
あなたこそどうするのです、アーチャー。あなたが白を手にかけるというのなら、私は全力でそれを阻む。考え直すのなら今のうちです。今の私を相手にして勝機があるとは思わないでしょう。
Saber's words are true. Saber in her condition now could go against Berserker 1-on-1 and still walk away victorious. It doesn't matter who Archer is, he can't win against Saber. He understands that better than anyone yet.
たかだか魔力が戻った程度で、よくもそこまで強気になる。
Not letting her respond, Archer charges at Saber. Swords clash, a bolt of crimson rushes towards Saber, and Archer swings with all of his might. Saber blocks the attack without even flinching. Their difference in stature and even Archer's sudden burst of speed make no difference. Saber parries Archer's attack with ease. Yet Archer is the one who falls back despite being on defense. A single strike with utmost power and precision. Not only was it blocked, even lost his balance in the process. Archer pulls back without hesitation, seeing an opening. Saber attacks Archer with a fierce onslaught. There's nothing Archer can do other than block Saber's attack. If he tries to counter, Saber's sword will split his skull in that opening. No, he doesn't even have the spare effort to think about countering. The only resistance allowed to Archer is blocking Saber's attack until he runs out of strength. Even then, that won't last long. The magical energy imbued in Saber's sword is chipping away at Kansu and Byakuya. The twin swords can't stand any more of Saber's attacks, nor does Archer have much strength left. The end came sooner than expected. Not able to withstand Saber's assault, Archer falls down on his knee. Saber stops for a short moment and swings down her sword. That decisive strike, Archer stopped it with the cross formed by his swords. The fight ends here. While Archer did stop Saber's attack, he can't move another inch. If he lets go even an ounce of his strength, Saber's sword will cut him in half from the skull down. Pouring all his strength into his arms, Archer stops Saber's strike. Sweat is dripping down Archer's forehead and he's gasping for breath. In contrast, Saber is calm and collected. In close range combat, it's impossible for an Archer class servant to win against a Saber class servant. About that.
先ほど私の身を案じていましたが、それはあなたにも言えることだ。キャスターを倒すためにあれだけの宝具を使った今、魔力は残り少ないはずです。
بسام طولت قوي يا اسطى، في حاجات كتيرة قوي حصلت.
انا قاعد اتفرج.
فين وصلت انت؟
خلاص بتطلق طلقة اظن اخيرة على رين، فاهم؟ وبتقتل رين. انا اقول لك 38 دقيقة و5 ثانية.
30 دقيقة هذا الفرق ما بيني وبينك يعني ولا ايه؟
يس.
شوف هو ممكن يكون في تقريبا بينهم حاجة 10 دقايق ربع ساعة كده تضيع وقت اللي قعدت اسويه بعد ما وصلت الجزئية اللي انا فيها دي.
انترلود هين. على فكرة تحديد نزلوه هو كونغ. Oh, the Soviet defeated. Jump into cluster. انت بتنام بدري اليوم صح؟
ايوه معايا كده حوالي 48 دقيقة زيادة.
انت الحين موقف ولا بتكمل ولا ايش الوضع؟
موقف شوية بعطيك فرصة بس مش تقدر تتحدي برضه. حتى لو وقفت مش تقدر تتحدي برضه.
اليوم وكونغ ما في ها؟
لا ما في وكونغ يا حبيبي. فيتو نايت اليوم نايت ستي نايت.
ترو. That's far enough to suck.
للأسف. فرين قدرت تفوز في معركتها، لكن شيرو التراش خسر. مو بس
يب.
خسر، ما قدر حتى يوقفه بس شوي.
بس صراحة قاعد يكسر أسلحة ويصنع أسلحة.
この世にとどまるためのマスターもいない。魔力の供給もままならない。今のあなたに何ができる？
اللحن كان تشتغل.
Bum bum bum. ايش؟
تليفون
توريس اون. برجع اكمل ها.
طيب
شريك انا وديت نظارتي فين؟ نظارتي انا وديت نظارتي فين؟ ايوه نظارتي فين؟ عاوز اشوف من غيرها دي. بس اهي.
ارشر اللي قاعد يقدم على كل شيء شكله.
それこそ余計な世話だセイバー。アーチャーのサーバントにはマスターがおらずとも単独で存在する能力がある。マスターを失ったとしても2日は存命できよう。
バカな、まだそんなことを言うのですか。あなたの望みは聖杯ではなくシロを殺すことだとでも。
Archer didn't respond. His cold eyes simply stare at the baffled and troubled Saber.
なんということを。アーチャー、あなたの望みは間違っている。なぜそのような結末を望むのですか。そんなことをしてもあなたは。
Be saved. Saber bites down on her lips before she can finish her sentence.
間違えているか。
Archer puts more strength into his arms. He stares back at
それは
Saber.
こちらのセリフだセイバー。君こそいつまで間違った望みを抱いている。
A brief moment of sadness flickers in Archer's eyes as he asks Saber.
アーチャー、
Saber's grip on her sword weakens. Archer sees the opportunity to free himself and uses the opening to kick Saber off. Saber was sent backwards from that kick, but she lands with grace. The situation doesn't change from a minute ago. A stalemate between Saber, who is protecting me, and Archer, who has his back turned to the caged Tosaka. The distance between the two has extended about 5 meters. What?
اختيارات عندك. I can stop them or I should try.
Oh.
اختيار الثاني ايش؟
Why should I?
Why should I?
分かりきっていたことだが、
اختارك انت.
やはり嫌疑では及ばぬか。
The swords in his hands disappear and he faces Saber empty-handed.
アーチャー、剣を捨てたということは戦いを。
まさか君こそ思い違いはよせ。俺はアーチャーだぞ。もとより剣で戦うものではない。
After saying that,
I'm the bone of my soul.
in a whisper, Archer starts with an incantation.
やめろアーチャー、私はあなたとは。
セイバー、いつか お前を解き放つ者が現れる。それは今回ではないようだが、おそらくは次もお前と関わるのは私なのだろうよ。Unknown to death, unknown to life.
The incantation echoes in the church. Nothing changes in the surrounding. An incantation that long will most certainly affect the environment. Magecraft is something that works by exerting influence on the world itself. However, his incantation doesn't do it, but...
だが、それはあくまで次の話。今の俺の目的は、エミやシロを殺すことだけだ。それを阻むのならば、この世界は、お前が相手でも容赦はせん。
He raises his left arm. Does that mean he's completing his incantation?
Unlimited blade works.
With a clear phrase, he starts to exert his influence on the world. Flames erupting, the flames trace across the floor as if drawing a line. Does that mean the flames are creating a boundary around the church? The bright luminescence generated by the flame envelops the church. In an instant, the church was replaced by a strange landscape. My headache is overpowering my thoughts. I can understand this magecraft, this bizarre scenery. It shouldn't be possible for me to understand, but I was able to decipher what is happening in front of my eyes naturally. And that fact is hurting my head more than anything. To sum it up in a word, this is a forge. Burning flames and rotating gears in the sky. Swords with no wielders are scattered across the wasteland. Every blade across the landscape is a famed sword. Even the kashu and bakuya he uses were weaved from this world. A seemingly infinite projection of weapons. The countless weapons make this place look like a junkyard. And standing in the middle of this wasted kingdom is the Red Knight.
これ
There is obvious confusion in Saber's voice. Standing in the cold phantom flame, she looks at the Red Knight
こういう
bewildered.
結界心象世界を具現化して現実を侵食する大禁獣。つまりあんたは剣士でもなければ騎兵でもなくて。
そう、生前英霊となる前は魔術師だったということだ。
Tosca speaks calmly. Does that mean she already knew? Maybe she has already deciphered Archer's
で
identity.
はアーチャー、あなたの宝具は。
そんなものはない。私は聖剣も魔剣も持ってなどいなかったからな。俺が用いるのはこの世界だけだ。宝具が英霊のシンボルだというのなら、この魔術こそが俺の宝具。武器であるのならば、オリジナルを見るだけで複製し貯蔵する。それが俺の英霊としての能力だ。
Saber can't believe what she heard. She looks around bewildered, seeing only swords in this wasteland, swords that feel no different than unmarked gravestones. This place is filled with wasteland and iron, covered by a lonely gray sky.
これがあなたの世界だというのか、アーチャー。
そうだ。試してみても構わんぞ、セイバー。お前の聖剣、確実に複製してみせよう。
私の聖剣、その正体を知って言うのか、アーチャー。
もちろん。あれほどのものになると完全な複製はできぬが、真に迫ることはできる。となればどうなる？聖剣同士が衝突したとき、周りの人間は生きていられるかな？
アーチャー、あなたは。
そういうことだ。 間違っても聖剣を使うなセイバー。使えば俺も抵抗せざるを得ない。その場合消えるのは我々ではなく周りの人間だ。お前のことだ。自身を犠牲にしてもそこの小僧を守るだろう。俺とて聖剣など投影しては自滅する。となれば生き残るのは一人だけ。それではあまりにも意味がない。
Archer raises his left arm. At the signal, swords start to levitate behind him.
抵抗はするな。運が良ければ即死することもない。ことが済んだ後、お前のマスターに癒してもらえ。
Archer's fingers point at Saber. Countless swords turn and point at Saber. Every single one of those swords is capable of delivering a killing blow.
かわすのもいいが、その場合、背後の男は諦めろ。
He gives his command to the swords. The infinite amount of swords start their assault. Saber can't afford to move a single inch from her spot. Knowing a single mishap could be fatal, Saber grips her sword in her hand and strikes down each and every sword that rings down.
トレース。
My headache is taking away my ability to think. My magic circuits will only last for one more try. My devastated insides are scorched beyond recognition and on the verge of melting. But all of that stops mattering the moment I saw his swords. The moment I saw his world. Next thing I know, I'm focusing my strength and running up next to Saber, fixing my eyes on those annoying swords.
シロ、ダメだ、早く。
Who cares? If my eyes can't keep up with the flurry of swords, then that's what I need to do. Then what I need to do now is to let my senses take over and analyze them. Even if my head can't process any faster, I'm still pushing it beyond its limits. The next wave of swords is coming. It feels like if the hammer of a gun knocks down on the back of my head.
ふざけ。
I reach out my left arm. I don't have a shred of doubt. I copied so many up until now. If the logic and the method behind what I did was correct,
じゃねえ、てめえ。
then there is no way I can't copy the flurry of swords before me. Fragments shatter around us. When I open my eyes, his reality marbles, or whatever it's called, is gone. What remains are the scattered fragments of sword sand. A hellish feeling of nausea that makes me gag as if I'm about to throw my own organs. يا ابني انت كل حاجة عندك بتخليك ترجع، انا مش عارف ليه. انت كل حاجة حرفيا في ستي نايت بتخليك ترجع، انا مش فاهم. تعالى يا ابني هديك اوندان سترون، هديك اوندان سترون في طيزك لحد ما تبقى كويس، مش تبقى عايز ترجع تاني. مش ممكن كمية الترجيع اللي انت عايز ترجعها دي. Stares at me with animosity.
تناديني
لا ما بكلمكش انت.
لا بس في الستريم كان
لا ده انا كنت قاعد انادي بقول مستني سيادتك ترجع. قدم شويه انا فضلت اضيع وقت حبه حلوين. Asha grabbed Tosca out of her cage of swords and restrained her. Tosca violently moves her body, trying to get away from Asher's grasp. I don't know what he's done, but Asher put his hand on the back of Tosca's neck and her consciousness is gone. After that, he decides to leave the church. He holds Tosca in his arms and he leaps up and the stairs that lead to the ground above.
どこに行く気です、アーチャー。
これ以上邪魔の入らないところだ。俺は今ので魔力切れだしな。お前に守られた小僧を仕留めるだけの力はない。
リンを連れて行くのは人質ですか？
いや、交換条件だ。これが俺の手元にある限り、そこの小僧は俺を追わざるを得まい。加えて、リンはお前のマスターになった。いかにお前が小僧を守ろうと、マスターの命には変えられまい。
I'm trying to fight this nausea, trying hard to hold it so I don't pass out. I respond to his nonsense.
後悔
And then, exhausted, I tell him without even looking at him.
何
だから郊外の森だ。そこに使われていない城がある。あそこなら誰にも迷惑はかからない。
シロ、
俺に文句があるんだろう。いいぜ、聞いてやる。言いたいことがあるのはこっちだって同じなんだ。
I'm fading in and out of consciousness. Despite that nauseating sickness, I told him as much.
郊外の森。そうか。アインツベルンの城があったな。確かに。あの城ならば邪魔は入るまい。いい覚悟じゃないか、エミヤシロ。
うるさい。そんなことより。
I don't want to hear his flattery. If I have to listen to any more of it, my innards might burst out of my body from the unbearable pain.
それまで遠坂に手を出してみろ。その時はセイバーの手を借りてでもお前を殺してやる。
A sharp pain attacks me. I warn him in rage and claw at my head to fight my headache.
よかろう。場所を指定した見返りだ。一日は安全を保証してやる。だが急げよ。マスターがいない今、俺とて時間がない。この身は2日と持たぬだろう。その前にお前を殺せないとあらば、腹いせに人質を手にかけかねんからな。
His annoying laughter lingers in my ear as he leaves. I fell down on my knee before I can see him leave.
シロ、無茶をして、いくらあなたでもアーチャーと同じ投影をするのは早すぎます。
She holds me as I fall down.
セイバー、遠坂取られちまった。
I try to stand up while holding my head.
シロ、それはいいのです。リンは無事だ。アーチャーもリンには手を出さないでしょう。それより今はあなたの方が危ない。リンのことは私に任せて、シロは家で休息を取るべきです。
いや、そんな暇は。
I feel like passing out as I try to finish that sentence. Damn it. I can't believe this. It seems I don't even have the strength left to form words.
話は後で聞きます。今はあなたを家に連れて帰る。いいですね、シロ。
I don't even have time to say anything back. Saber lends me her shoulder as we were walking towards the stairs. The sky is still gray. We leave the now deserted church.
お、ことは済んだみたいだな、坊主。
There, in the clearing in front of us, is the familiar spearman. Saber glares at him while supporting me. She's so tense that she would slash him without hesitation if he took another step.
いや、違うんだ、セイバー。あいつは俺たちの手助けをしてくれた。
は、ランサーがシロに協力したというのですか？
あ、そうだ。できれば今は戦わないでくれ。
Saber stares at Lancer in astonishment. Seems like he's fully enjoying Saber's reaction.
それはわかりましたが、なぜですランサー？あなたがシローたちに協力するなど何か企みがあるのですか？
あ？なんだ？バカだろお前。んなもんあるに決まってんじゃねえか。裏で企んでなきゃよその手助けなんかする。
I knew he was that kind of guy, but he's thorough as he's making fun of Saber as well.
何がおかしいのです、シロー。
今笑ってたか、俺。
ええ、笑っていました。どうやら私の思い違いだったようですね。笑みがこぼれるほど元気があるのなら、この肩を貸すまでもなかったようですが。
It's bad, but that made me a bit relieved. Saber is the same as before. Our connection is gone, but she's here just like before. Then what's there to regret?
悪い、気が緩んだみたいだ。今はそんな場合じゃなかったな。
はい。リンを取り戻すにしても、今は休まなければ。ランサー、何が目的かは知らぬが、もはや用は済んだのだろう。ならばされ。私も、今はあなたとは戦わない。
She declares in a dignified manner and goes down to the clearing.
あ？おい、万事守備よく行ったってわけじゃなさそうだな。何が起きたんだ、オズ。
登坂があーちゃんに連れて行かれた。これから取り戻しに行くだけだ。
I bear my business and answer, looking into Lancer's eyes.
何？おい待て。それはどういうことだ？
I'm sorry, but I don't have any energy left. I can't give such a long explanation, so I should go home and...
アーチャーの目的はシロを殺すことです。そのために私のマスターとなったリンをさらい、交換条件としてシロに一騎打ちを命じました。一日中にアーチャーの元に行かなければ、リンの安全は保証しないそうです。
Well, it was helpful for you to explain on my behalf, but there is no point in telling Lancer that, Saber.
やろう。やりやがったな。
Then he takes off his friendly face and grits his teeth.
ランサー？
つまりあれか。あの野郎、一度ならず二度までお嬢ちゃんを裏切ったってわけか。
ええ、そういうことになりますが、それがどうしたと？
どうしたじゃねえ。くそ、気が変わった。手助けするのはこれっきりだったがな。もう少し付き合わせろ。このままじゃ寝覚めが悪い。
Lancer spits out and starts walking. Saber stares at Lancer silently. I understand how she feels. Lancer's back looked as if he was telling us that he'll join us.
参った。シロとリンはどんな魔術を使って彼を味方に引き入れたのです。
Or technically you could call it TSUNDERE magic, which is very effective. هي فعلا رين مزة بس فأي حد بيحبها عادي. If you have culture لازم تحب رين. If you have taste برضو لازم تحب رين. Best girl after all. Saber's voice sounds more shocked than amazed. But unfortunately I don't have the energy to answer and my wounds are starting to hurt him. No, first of all, I'm the one who wants to ask the question. Nope, no interludes. That's it for today. That is it for today. Nope, nope, nada. I'm ending the stream here. No more interludes. None. Absolutely none.
انت من بكره عندك اللونج داي؟
لا بعده. بعده إن شاء الله.
ان شاء الله.
And so we shall end it here for today.
يعني السبت الاحد عندك اجازه لكم ان شاء الله.
نعم.
ها؟
ايه سبت؟ لا سبت الحد اجازه ويكند اجازه عادي.
اوكي
ان شاء الله يعني.
ان شاء الله. ابدا عندي يقول بكره مو بكره بعد يومين حيجي ان شاء الله جعدان.
ان شاء الله.